Let's talk about what Etsy is and how you're going to be able to make it work. Now, one of the things you may have noticed is both eBay and Amazon, when they first started out, people would list their things there, and it was kind of a place where you could go and list your stuff. You could have various things for sale. Maybe you had some things, you were involved in business, maybe you weren't, but it was a place that was kind of for people who just wanted to get their things available into a larger marketplace. At some point, though, they really started to favor big, well-established sellers and people who were really treating it like a business. And so the people that had things that they made, they maybe didn't want to be there because they didn't necessarily want to try to scale up. They were only trying to sell some things, or maybe they had a smaller business. And so these sellers began to find a place on Etsy. And Etsy.com is a place for people who have original creations. And these creations can be digital, they can be physical, they can be vintage in terms of if you didn't create the whole thing yourself. And basically, it's a place where someone who has things that they are their original creations, they can reach a larger audience. So you're probably going to ask, are buyers coming to Etsy? And as you can see, buyers are increasingly coming to Etsy. And as of 2019, this was the last year they did a whole year tally, the amount of revenue generated was $4.7 billion. A lot. And that's an indication that this is a viable platform if you have things that you're going to be selling. And the question is always going to be whether or not the traffic matches this, right? Are people finding it? Are people going there on the internet to look for things? And this is a pretty viable site. Their Alexa ranking is 120. People are spending time there on the page, as you can see. And even throughout the pandemic, the traffic is increasing. So the interest in the things that people have on Etsy, they are starting now to increase, and people are now spending their time there. And it means that you have the right thing. Your buyer could be looking for you. So what kinds of things can you sell? And really, if you look at their categories are pretty broad. Basically, they're going to have to be something that you created. You're considered to be a maker or a creator. And if you do that, your products may be physical in nature. Your products could be digital in nature. There are people who sell things like printables and stickers, as well as how-to information courses. Sometimes, even those physical products don't necessarily have to be in your possession. You can do what's called print on demand, and so you don't even have to hold the inventory in order to sell it on Etsy. And so Etsy is going to be a place where people can sell what they want to have online. And they don't necessarily want to compete on eBay or Amazon. It means that if you've got stuff you've created or it's specialty, it's considered to be vintage, there's a market for people like you on Etsy. If you can determine how to get things listed, you're going to be able to sell those specialty items. The only thing that's going to be key to Etsy is just not to focus on just one customer at a time and not even just one product at a time, but really focus on the entire market and where it's going, because that's how you'll determine what it is you're going to be able to sell there. You need to make sure that you have your graphics set up and that you're ready to kind of change and shift gears whenever you have to in order to be consistently successful on Etsy. And if you know what to say in your profile and where to say it, sometimes getting those first few sales is just a matter of changing a few things in your image or your listing. Another case is going to be a matter of integrating with some of the other things that you're doing online. Look, the fact of the matter is that all these things are doable. It's just that none of these things are going to be laid out in any one place as to what it is you need to do. So getting set up right on Etsy is possible. And it can be done if you integrate the right tools in and you keep the wrong tools out. And one thing that sellers tend to do is they kind of just put something on there and they kind of hope it's going to be found. But now, if you understand some things on getting set up, you can overcome this way of just hoping that things are going to work out. Now, there's a video course that will help you to get set up on the basics of Etsy. Now, if you want to find out more about that course, check out the link you see here on your screen.